What are you? Steelhead? Chinook? Don't tell me you're both. Not between April and December. You have to choose. I believe that if a person is going to call themselves a salmon fisher, you got to pretty much give up everything else. Now, if the tides are bad, the tides are weak, and there's no fish around, yeah, you can sneak offshore for an albacore trip. You can bucktail for silvers, catch a few rockfish. But I think a trip far enough away to fish for summer steelhead that's not compatible with being a salmon fisher. If you want to go summer steelhead fishing in Oregon, you've got to go where? Deschutes, Grand Ronde, John Day, Rogue, maybe venture down to the Klamath. And you can't do it for a day at a time. If you're really going to be a steelheader, you got to put your heart and soul into it, just like a salmon fisher does. And if you're off on the Deschutes in July or August or September or June, if you're off somewhere fishing for steelhead in June, you could miss some of the best. It's not just the opportunity to catch more fish. It's the opportunity to see things on the estuary that you wouldn't normally see. I've seen things this fall yesterday. I saw chum rolling together 20 fish at a time. 20 fish at a time. It was like when the rockfish are busting bait on the surface in the ocean here at PC. I hadn't seen that before. I'd seen multiple chum roll before, but I hadn't been in the right place, and the chum hadn't been in the right mood and had the right number of them in the school to see 20, 30. Same time. It was amazing. It was amazing. They didn't want to bite right then. But if I had been off on the John Day or the Sandy or even the Deschutes, I would have missed it. I would have missed it. So to be a salmon fisher here in Oregon, you have to dedicate yourself from about April through December. And you can pick one river. You probably, if you're going to go April through December, you have to pick you have to pick rivers where you have a spring run, a summer run, and a fall run, and a late fall run. That's probably going to mean you're going to have to shift around a little bit. But you have to wake up you have to go to sleep at night. You have to go to sleep at night deciding, or having already decided, where you're going to fish. What are the tides doing? What's the weather doing? The stream flow, the temperatures. What are the fish doing? And if you get distracted going somewhere else, if you get distracted by steelhead, you're going to miss some of the most important things. Now, if you're here in Pacific City, and the tides are weak, and the water's warm, and you've been out, and you've been looking, you've been to the boat hole, you've been to the Woods Bridge, you've been up at Hanneman's, you've been down to the guardrail, you know there aren't very many fish around. Or you know they're not on the bite. Period. Well, in that case, if the ocean conditions are right to go offshore for albacore, you'd better grab your tuna rods and get going. Sometimes I'll have great bucktailing a mile offshore PC. silvers, Chinook, on the fly rod, on the fly. Silvers and Chinook to the fly, on the ocean. And I'm okay, because I know the estuary is only 6 hours away. And there have been times when I've caught sea runs and silvers or rockfish, sometimes both, and Chinook on the same day here. The tides the timing of the tides, the intensity of the tides, the fish, everything had to come together, but in one day. But these coastal rivers are not great steelhead rivers. Yes, there are a few steelhead here. Yes, they're mostly hatchery fish. But you pretty much have to make a choice. You're going to be a salmon fisher, or you're going to be a steelheader. Now, if you're going to be a steelheader, that's great. And you make your decisions about the Rogue, or the John Day, or the Grand Ronde, or the Klamath. I'm sure I'm forgetting one. The Rogue. Oh, the North Umpqua, for goodness sakes. Maybe the Skeena, the Dean, Babine. Someplace up north. You can't do all that and expect to get the full measure of what these estuaries, these Oregon estuaries, and the salmon can bring to you. You just can't.